Everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to do just a really cool yellow eye look with bronzed and glowing skin. So what I'm doing right now, I already have foundation, primer on my lids and everything, so I'm just setting that with a neutral shade. But we're going to take this Profusion Siennas palette. I'm just going to tap into that bright yellow. Load my brush up, but then tap off any excess to avoid a bunch of fallout. And I'm just going to work on patting this into your skin, just kind of building up the intensity. You're going to notice it's going to take me a while to get everything applied to the lid to the intensity that I want and that I was happy with. I am using a synthetic blending brush. I actually am not the biggest fan of the dense, like flat shadow brushes. I don't feel that they work as well as they should. So I pretty much apply all eyeshadows with fluffy blending brushes. But it's working okay. Now this yellow did not give me the intensity, like the neon intensity that I was hoping for, but it works. But yeah, you see me just going in. I did the other eye, and now I am using a dense shadow brush just to go in and pack on as much as possible. I was trying to mess with the technique. This is going to be my first time doing this look and using that yellow pigment or shadow. So we're learning as we go. So you're just loading up the brush, tapping off any excess, and then just working it in. It's a lot of patting with the brush, just really quick movements to kind of load it up on the eyelid. I think my allergies were bothering me on this day because my right eye was really watery. And at some point in the video, you're going to catch me like getting frustrated because as my eye was watering, it was watering onto my eyelid. It was basically turning the shadow into like a mud, like a paste. And so I'm worried that it's just too many layers on the eyelid, but it came out how I liked on one eye, and it wasn't going anywhere. It was just me having fun. But you live and you learn. And I did not really cut the crease, but after I did load up all the eyeshadow, I did go in with some more of the Urban Decay Eden Primer just to allow the lid shade to be a lot more intense. And I think when I did that on the right eye, it didn't work in my favor. So eventually you'll see that it's starting to like goop up on my lid, and even in like the picture you can kind of see it started falling off, but it's okay. Like I said, trial and error. That's the fun thing about makeup. Sometimes you learn new techniques along the way, and that's why I'm here to share these things with you. So you can either learn from me and or learn from my mistakes. But you can see like the intensity helped once I did the primer. It did help that yellow pigment come on a little bit more intensely, which I was really happy with. Now I was in the market for a brighter, more of a neon yellow, because I'm not the biggest fan of that shadow, but I really wanted to do a yellow look that day. And I wasn't trying to go out because it was pouring rain, so I used what I had. But it worked okay. So right now I'm just going through with that same fluffy brush. I kind of wiped off a lot of the remaining pigment on there just so I can use it as a blending brush. And then as you see, I kind of dip back in. I kind of probably did too much work. Double worked or worked harder than smarter here because I could have just left the brush as it was. But I really just wanted to make sure it was well blended and then add pigment where I needed to. So I'm just going through, making sure there's no harsh lines and that everything is blended well. And of course, fanning off any fallout that we had. And the foundation I use can't talk. I believe it is the Estee Lauder Double Wear, and it's a little bit lighter than my actual shade. So I look pale, but I'm going to fix it with this Nars Laguna bronzer. It's a liquid bronzer. It does have like a sheen in it. I wouldn't say it's glittery, but it does have this really awesome luminosity to it. So I'm just going to work that in using this. It's like an angled kabuki type foundation brush. It's by e.l.f. and I love this brush because it kind of hugs your um, like the curves on your face. If you're trying to contour or whatnot or do your jawline, it just sits perfectly. And you could work it applies really nicely and get a lot done in a short period of time. So I'm just stippling that into the skin all around my cheekbones, next to my temples, forehead, and just really building that up to the intensity I want. Now, I do still come off pretty pale. I probably didn't have the best lighting either, but it's okay. So I'm just blending that down. I'm not trying to look terribly contoured or structured. I really just wanted to look bronzed and glowing, which sucks because that day we had a horrible storm and it was so dark and cloudy. Like right here, I think I was filming at like 12 o'clock and it looked like it was nighttime. It was so dark outside. But you just want to use a damp sponge just to work the product into your skin. And always use a face mist to kind of help it all blend together. Now I'm using this really soft, another synthetic blush brush. I'm going to go through with my Bare Minerals Invisibronzer. And again, I'm just going to stipple that on top of the Nars Laguna bronzer just to set it there. And this bronzer is almost like, I would have to say, it's like the powder equivalent to the Nars liquid bronzer. Like they have the same exact tone and finish and everything. They're really lightweight, but they have a really beautiful luminosity to them. And the tones match and everything. So I'm just going through and setting that liquid bronzer with the powder bronzer. It's so much fun. Bronzing is my favorite. And it came off a lot stronger in person. I had my ring light turned up a lot because it was so dark in the house. But I still look kind of pale. Stupid. But anyways, you're just going through, kind of blending everything out, making sure everything is really pretty. And we're misting again. Now this highlight is probably one of my favorites in my little collection of highlights. It's one of those loose powder highlights by LA Girl. But I love to just dip my brush in and I spray it and I'll just dab it back onto the skin. And it just helps it go on like, oh my gosh. It just beams. It's so good. So I'm just stippling it again, kind of putting it on the highest points of my face. And it just gives you like a nice glow. Like a glow on crack. It's just like really pretty and radiant, but when you build up the intensity, you're calling on the aliens. Like you're ready. You're ready for some intergalactic visitors. It's just what it is. Now this NYX, it's a baked blush, but I use it as a highlight, and it's this apricot. It's so pretty. It's like this apricot shade and has the most gorgeous, like, I don't even know if it's like rose gold or champagne, but it's got that highlighty type, sheen in it, and it just looks so pretty. And when I'm tan, it's amazing. I wore it when we were on our cruise. That's all I wore, and I loved it. but it really just gives your skin this amazing glow, just like peachy and glowing. It's amazing. And this, my friends, is that moment I had where my eyelids started gooing up and I was so mad. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. So here I go, trying to fix it. So I'm just going in. I kind of wiped up where it was building up with my finger, and I'm just gonna go in using the wand directly to kind of detail and put that exactly where I needed it, so I could blend it out and then go back in. I was so frustrated because at this point it had already been like 20 minutes. I was just so irritated. Because I bet if I had done this off camera, it would have just been like seamless, no issues at all. But that's life. So you see I'm just kind of blending it out. Now the only thing bad about that primer is it sets really, really fast. So if you're not working really quickly with it, it's just going to dry up. And I think that's one of the bad things about it. So I went in with my finger to reapply the yellow on that part of my lid, just so I can make sure it's pressed in nice and tight on top of that primer so it doesn't move again. But it ended up moving again. So I'm just going to take like a really light taupe shade from that same Profusion palette, and I'm just going to blend it into the crease just to provide a little bit of definition in the crease, but nothing like it's so faint you could barely see it. So I'm just adding a little bit there. I'm going to tap on a little bit more of the yellow just to make sure it is how I want. And I'm a weird type of creature because I can't just do one thing, finish, and then move to the next. I get bored, and so I'll do one thing, skip over to the next, and then go back to it. I eat sandwiches like that too. I'm a weirdo. But I kept skipping over from one eye to the other. I'm just using some mascara. Mascara is probably one of the most important products that any girl needs in their life because it's such a game changer. And if you hate having to curl your lashes, I don't even bother. But if you hate having to curl your lashes and you want to try a lash lift, shoot me a message and I'll hook you up. I do them very affordable. We'll get those curled and nice and perky for you. So I'm just going to buff in a little bit more of a taupe shadow under the eye mixed with the yellow just to give it something so it's not just bare, and it'll help tie the eye together. You just go from inner to outer and just buff it around and do the lower lash line, and you're almost complete. I'll make the stupidest faces too, so don't mind me. I already know I look dumb, so. Alright, now for the lips, I'm using the Fenty Beauty, it's Uncuffed, the liquid lipstick, and I'm just going over with this Milani lip gloss in pink. It's just like a shiny pink shade, but that is it for the lips. I'm just going in and kind of patting it out with my finger to get off some of the extra pigment from the lips, just so it's not too thick. And that is the look. I hope you guys like it. If you have any video suggestions, just let me know down below. All right, y'all, have a good day.